In this episode, I'm going to be pulling back the curtain on one of the biggest marketing mistakes I see business owners and entrepreneurs making today. Because while marketing is the single most important element to your business success, it's also one of the most confusing and overwhelming, misunderstood subjects out there. And with so many different experts and influencers and gurus all preaching what sometimes feels like completely different strategies, how are you supposed to keep everything straight and know what to do for your business? Well, that's what I'm here to help you with right now. So let's dive in. Hey there, my name is Adam Erhart, marketing strategist, and welcome to the channel, the #1 place for entrepreneurs to learn proven marketing strategies to grow your business online. If you're frustrated, overwhelmed, and maybe even a little stressed out about this whole marketing thing, you're not alone. And while I can sit here confidently today after nearly a decade in the game and hundreds of clients and thousands of profitable marketing campaigns under my belt, wasn't always this way. In fact, there was a point in my life when I had zero idea what marketing even was, much less how it all worked. I remember the early days of looking at things like funnels and segmentation and positioning and differentiation and all these crazy marketing terms and feeling very much like a deer in the headlights, completely stunned, frozen, and having no idea what any of this meant. And this is pretty much the exact recipe for frustration. Taking a look at all of the wild and wonderful things that the world of marketing has to offer and thinking that you need to do it all, and you need to know it all, and you need to do it right now. And this, my friend, is the biggest marketing mistake I see entrepreneurs making right now. The belief that they need to do it all, everything marketing has to offer, and they need to do it all now. What this works out to is essentially doing the wrong kind of marketing, or more appropriately, the wrong level of marketing for where they're at in their business right now. So let me break that down. Not only can you not do it all, and not only do you not need to know it all, but all of it, well, essentially, it's not going to be right for your business, specifically where you're at with your business right now, with your unique goals, your unique market, your unique offer, and the way that your business is positioned. Some things are going to be more appropriate for your business, and some things are just going to be flat out wrong. If anything, they're going to hurt your business, maybe even drive you backwards. So if the biggest mistake is trying to do everything marketing has to offer, well then, what's the solution? Well, essentially, the solution is using the right level of marketing for your level of business. So I'm not going to leave you hanging. Let's dive into the levels right now so you can figure out which level is right for you and what kind of marketing you may want to consider and what's really just not that important yet. So the first level of business is something I call a level 1 business. This is a business that's doing anywhere from $0 to $20,000 a month. Essentially, this could be a brand new startup, it could be a business that's been in business for a few months or maybe even a few years, but it hasn't really hit over that level of $20K a month. If you've got a business in this zone, well, you only need to be focused on a very few things in order to grow and in order to build a bigger and better business. The very first thing you need to do with your business if you're at a level 1 is to clearly identify and articulate your ideal target market, an ideal customer avatar, or ICA for short. Essentially, that exact person that you want to serve and who would most benefit from whatever business that you're offering. The better that you know and the better that you understand who your ideal target market is, the better your business is going to be, because you're going to be able to craft more compelling and more relatable and more irresistible offers that really speak to the needs and the problems and the pains and the frustrations of that ideal customer, ideal client for your business. A lot of businesses get stuck making well below $20K a month simply because they never really got clear on who it is they're trying to serve and what the value they provide them is, which is pretty much the next thing that you need to work on, which is your offer and your value proposition. Now, this part is going to sound pretty obvious, but you'd be amazed at how many people miss the mark on this one. Essentially, when it comes to your offer and your value proposition, you need to make sure that you're selling something that people actually want. Essentially, are you selling a painkiller? Are you selling something that's going to solve an immediate pain for someone? And the bigger the pain, well, the more demand or the more they're going to be willing to pay to have you solve this for them. If you can safely check the box on that one and you know you're selling something that people actually want, and yet they're still not buying, could lead us to the second problem, which is that you're just not positioning it. Essentially, you're just not marketing it in a way that makes it irresistible to them. This is why it's really important to first dial in that ideal customer avatar, that perfect person you want to serve, really figure out their pains and problems that you're uniquely positioned to solve, and then make sure that you're wrapping up your offer and your value proposition in a way that's truly irresistible to them. All right, the next step you want to take for a level 1 business is all about having focused media. Now, you may have heard the advice to be everywhere and do everything and go on all the different social media networks and start a podcast and write a blog and start a YouTube channel and create social media content and all of that stuff. But the reality is, if your business is still at level 1 and making less than $20K a month, you don't need all these things to succeed. Rather, what you really need to do is dial in again on that ideal customer avatar. on that specific offer and value proposition that you offer, then you need to identify where your ideal target market is active and present online, and you need to design a cohesive and congruent strategy that puts you directly in front of them where they are and ignore everywhere else that they're just not. At this stage of business, you really only have 3 goals. Number 1 is lead gen. Essentially generating more leads to bring them into your business. The more leads, the better at this point. Number 2 is offer refining, making sure that whatever offer you're putting in front of people is irresistible, so they simply can't say no to what you're selling. And number 3 is all about service delivery, really making sure that you're delivering a darn good product, because it's not going to make sense to do all this marketing and really define your ideal market and put an offer in front of them if your service delivery can't back it up. Because you're going to rely a little bit on word of mouth, on referrals, and on essentially building a better product, a better service, and a better offer for your clients moving forward. All right, so that leads us nicely to a level 2 business, which I define as a business doing roughly between $20,000 a month and $200,000 a month. At this stage of business, things start to open up a little bit more. You're going to have a little more cash flow and a little more revenue in order to fuel more marketing, more business objectives. At this stage, you've also proven that you've identified an ideal target market, you probably have your offer pretty dialed in, and you've proven that people actually want it and they have bought it, which is why you're doing this level of revenue. Now, this doesn't let you off the hook from refining and tweaking and constantly trying to find a better ideal customer avatar and really defining that top 20% of clients that you like serving and who are getting the best results. The same thing goes for your offer. You want to continue to improve and massage and tweak it in order to make it even more irresistible and even more of a no-brainer for your ideal market. But you can at least safely say that you've got a solid foundation, so pouring more marketing onto it is going to be a good idea. So what do you do at this level in order to grow, get to the next one? Well, the first thing that you want is more traffic. Essentially, traffic is attention. It's clicks, it's eyeballs, it's people watching your videos or signing up for your webinars or downloading your lead magnets or booking discovery calls or whatever it is. Essentially, what you want to do here is drive more traffic. And the reason we can do this safely, relatively confidently, is because at this level of business, we've proven that we have an offer that actually converts and that people actually want. So it only makes sense to try to get more people to it. Now, just like with level 1, you do want to be focused and you do want to be strategic about your channel selection, but you can afford to open things up a little bit more. So at level 1, maybe you're focusing on 1 or 2 different traffic sources. Level 2 makes sense to open it up and maybe we'll try a 3rd, maybe even a 4th. This is going to allow you to broaden your reach and essentially get in front of more people who could potentially do business with you. The next thing you're going to need in order to grow is less of a marketing concept and more of an overall business function, but that's going to be investing in your team. Now, whether we're talking about hiring more contractors or potentially even looking at bringing on a full-time employee or 2 or 3, whatever is needed, essentially at this point, you're going to need some support in order to grow to the next level. First of all, you probably can't do everything yourself, but even if you could, you probably shouldn't, because there are going to be some things that are really uniquely designed for you and for your specific skill set. The rest, you're going to want to delegate. The other thing you're going to want to invest in here are systems. Systems are incredibly important, and I appreciate they may be pretty boring, but the revenue they generate is absolutely not boring. And the time savings. You can save a lot of time with systems. Essentially, a system works in order to sort of ease the process and really make sure that the right things are getting done in the right places at the right time and by the right people. This frees up a ton of mental bandwidth for you as the business owner and entrepreneur, so you can focus on more high-level activities like creating new marketing campaigns and improving the service that you're offering. Plus, having systems are absolutely mandatory to move on to the next level, which I've called level 3 business, a business doing between $200,000 a month and $1 million a month. It's during this transition, around the $200,000 a month to $300,000 a month, that things start to get a little bit more complicated, and all of the things that you've done up until this point, while still valuable and still important, well, they're going to need to be beefed up even further, because above that roughly $200,000, $300,000 a month, things get a little more complicated, and you're going to need a lot more support. The first thing you're going to need to look into here is building a bigger team. Talking about operations managers, maybe accountants or lawyers, and social media managers, maybe media buyers. The list goes on. The best businesses in the world are built on people. So you're going to want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself and you're bringing on new and fresh talent, as well as people that are experienced and people that can be trained in order to get familiar with your culture and your business and the growth and the goal and direction that you're heading. There's another point as well that you need to consider as you're moving into level 3 business and as you're growing and scaling, and that's that profit and revenue, well, they don't scale at the same rate. Essentially, it's easy to appreciate if you're doing $10,000 a month. You could have a 90-95% profit margin. That would be pretty normal. On the other hand, if you scale it up to $100,000 a month, you might be looking at 20 or 30, maybe even 40% profit margins if you're in a service business and things are pretty dialed in. But as you move up to $500,000 a month or $1 million a month, you're simply not going to be looking at those same profit margins because you're going to have more operations and more team and more expenses involved. This isn't a bad thing, it's part of doing business, but it's something to be aware of that whatever you're looking at right now, just be aware and appreciate the fact that profits and revenues, they're not going to scale at the exact same rate. Don't let that deter you though, because building a bigger business means you can have a bigger impact, and essentially it allows you to do even more marketing. And that's the fun part. You see, marketing is going to enable you to continue to grow your business, to continue to make a bigger impact, continue to expand your reach and help even more people. And that's an amazing thing. This is why it's finally, at this stage, level 3 business of doing between 200K and $1 million plus a month, that you can finally deploy the be everywhere, do everything strategy, because you're going to have the cash flow, you're going to have the team, you're going to have the revenue in order to support and essentially build on this marketing initiative. If this brings us full circle, you can also see why the do everything and be everywhere approach is terrible for a business at level 1, maybe even at level 2. It just doesn't make sense. So what's the best way to do everything and be everywhere? Well, the best way to do this and the way to really throw gas on the fire for the business you built is through advertising, which is why the next thing you're going to want to do is check out the video I have linked up right here on how to advertise for a small business. So make sure to check that out now, and I'll see you in the next episode.